they had 0 children. Every time I went by there, they never had a single child there. Then I started to see all these transportation companies going around, and it was always a Somali driver. And between the two of these childcare centers, they're pulling in about $3 million a year, and there are no children. Every facility that you go to, the windows will be blocked out so you can't see in. There's nobody here.
So right now, they're all getting mad because he's showing the paperwork of this business being registered as a business. 74 children, no children.
The Somalis in America are not very happy right now because a massive fraud scheme have been uncovered, particularly in Minnesota, where a multi-billion-dollar fraud has been revealed. Now, a YouTuber, Shirley, is partnering with an independent investigator to blow this whole fraud case up, and it is gaining attention. Even the President of the United States, Donald Trump, is taking notice of it, and things are being done about it. There's an FBI investigation going on right now. Auditing is being done. People are being arrested, and there's even deportation of some Somalis back to their country. Let's get right into it.
Where the money's going? What do you guys think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
I don't think anybody is enabling fraud to happen.
Hold Governor Walz accountable for this.
What was this money spent on? 1.26 million. What was that money spent on? There aren't any kids.
Answer the question. Are there children? There's no children inside this building. Potentially the largest fraud scandal in U.S. history is taking place in Minnesota, as literally billions of dollars have been funneled through Somali-ran fraudulent businesses. So much fraud, it could actually almost replace the entire GDP of Somalia.
Are we even surprised at this point? And how has this been going on for this long? Tim Walz, Ilhan Omar, and many in the Somalian community in Minnesota have some explaining to do. These daycares with no children in them, these healthcare buildings with no patients in them, how do empty buildings get approval? And how do fake numbers get paid out? And credit to Shirley for doing the legwork. He worked with a local named David in Minnesota who's been tracking this information for years. And sadly, this older gentleman who's been doing this research for his community has gotten attacked by Somalians for just asking simple questions. Totally valid questions to ask, mind you. Where are all these children in the daycares? Where are the patients in the healthcare buildings? So upon investigating, Nick and David accumulated an amount of over $100 million potentially in fraud by these Somalian people. And Nick and David emphasize Somalians because they are literally in the label of ownership under these licensed buildings. Check out the video under Nick Shirley's most recent video on YouTube. It'll be interesting to see how this unravels because I know Tim Walz, Ilhan Omar, and so many Somalians will just dismiss this and throw it under the rug when, mind you, one of the biggest frauds in US history. Through Somalians, mind you, in America. But yeah, people will just slap on the label of racist if anyone draws attention to it.
So how does everybody feel about the Somali immigrants who have reportedly set up like fake medical companies and are defrauding the United States government of insane amounts of tax money? Apparently it's so bad that the FBI has made a statement stating that the Somali tax fraud schemes and government schemes are at a level that they could have never anticipated. And they're basically, from what it sounds like, devoting an entire fucking task force just to this bullshit. Okay? So what does this teach us and what does this show us? It shows us that people who come from these broken down hellhole countries do not come here to help America. They come here to rob America and destroy America. If they're not trying to spread Islam and bump Islamic prayers through the loudspeakers, okay, then what they're trying to do is rob hardworking Americans of their money. So when you ask me the question of, do I support open borders? Absolutely not. Close them. Completely close them. If you want to come to America, you got to show us why you're worthy. And you being worthy means you're bringing something here. You're either paying us money, a big sum of it, or you're bringing business over here, or you're doing something that's going to benefit the United States. You're not just going to come here because you got an American dream. That dream's not for you. It's for American citizens. You don't get that fucking dream.
Massive fraud in the state of Minnesota, especially in Minneapolis. This daycare right here, run by Somalians, has taken in from the Minnesota government $1.1 million This daycare says it can hold up to 40 children. I went up to the door. The door is locked, and as you can see, the windows are blacked out. I can't hear any children inside this daycare. It's midday right now. You'd think there'd be children in there playing, being taught, but no one is in there. This daycare, within 2 years, has taken in over $2 million. The Somalians are robbing the taxpayers in Minnesota blind. This is just one daycare located in Minneapolis that are doing exactly the same thing. We've went into daycare after daycare. All the doors are locked, all the windows are blocked out, and they're raking in millions upon millions of dollars. This Tim Walz's Minnesota is allowing this to go on. It's super easy to find fraud. All you need to do is go up to a door, try to open it. It's closed and there's no children. So you know these daycares, they're not full, but yet they're taking in millions of dollars every year. Let me know your thoughts on this one.
The Somalian community in Minnesota is so cooked. This is like the worst PR any group of people can ever get. This YouTuber called Nick Shirley linked up with another dude who's already been investigating fraud in the Somalian community in Minnesota. And they exposed $100 million in fraud from the Somalian community. They so cooked. This video here went so viral that the president of the United States reacted to this.
There's one building that has 14 Somali healthcare companies at the same address.
And the government knows about this?
The government knows, they're writing the checks. Yeah, the Democrats over there just writing the checks.
I don't think this is a political issue. I think this is an issue of some really bad actors ruining for everybody.
Indeed, no windows. All the windows are blacked out right here. All right, let's go in. No. And the child care center is locked. Should we ring the doorbell? Yeah. Try to get in, ring the doorbell. Nobody showed up. They're open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. it says here on their sign, yet there's absolutely nobody here. Hello? Can we speak? Yeah. I would like to check a child in the daycare. Why? Can I speak to a manager?
Like, if you're running a legitimate business and you have nothing to hide, if somebody comes and wants to register their kids to come to the daycare, I think the least you would have is an application, right? Like, you would have an application, okay, here, fill this out and bring it back. The fact that there's no application, they're acting...
Are you a news reporter?
My name's Nick. We're doing a little documentary trying to find little Joey a spot to put himself in one of these centers here. Because there's...
So why are you asking us about
the fraud? Like yeah, because we want to make sure we're going to legit business if we're going to bring our little boy Joey here.
This is not a Joey spot.
And it's not fair, it's not okay to categorize all Somalians as scammers and fraudsters due to the actions of a few. It's not okay to treat all Somalians poorly due to the actions of a few. But when you have the president of the United States responding back and sensationalizing it and vilifying all Somalians, that's going to trickle down, right? That's going to have other people now treat Somalians poorly. That's going to have other people now think it's okay to be prejudiced and racist towards Somalians.
Your favorite Somalian freeloader. Hey, thank you for your tax dollar. I'm eating really good. Thank you for taking care of me. I love you, Americans. You've been such a hospitality. Not hostility. You show us hospitality. That's good. We appreciate you. Because of your tax dollar, I get to eat 5 times a day. Before, it was 80 cents. They used to send us back in Africa, 80 cents. Now, I get this EBT card loaded each month with 400 to 500. The freeloader, your favorite freeloader. I'm enjoying myself. Enjoying this food. Taking vacation here. I'm in my free house provided for me by Enhan. So I'm enjoying myself. Please do not disturb me.
Bro, I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I knew about the Somali shit 20 years ago. I had my son 20 years ago. I went to go get Section 8. Drove down to the Section 8 office in Columbus, Ohio, and guess who the fuck I seen? All Somalis in the parking lot. They was there for 8 hours already. Had tents and shit, vans parked. They had fucking tents. They had they vans parked in the parking lot and made tents, nigga. It's first come, first serve when you go to get help from the government, when you need aid, when you need financial aid. First come, first serve. You gotta wait behind a fucking 100 Somalians, nigga, to get... I'm American, bitch. I gotta wait behind 100 Somalians to even get help. Then when you wait after all these niggas, they be like, oh yeah, we don't got no more room left. We only had 80 spots. Yeah, 100 Somalians got all the motherfucking Section 8, nigga. I knew about this 20 years ago. I never did get the Section 8, and the government don't give a fuck. The federal government don't care. They complicit. They corrupt.
Guys, this 23-year-old journalist just exposed more fraud than any mainstream media outlet ever could. Shirley just went to Minnesota, and what he discovered is rocking the country. And guess what? MSNBC and CNN and those outlets, they're not reporting it. I suggest you go watch the video, but here are the cliff notes. For 30 years, Democrats have kept over 150,000 Somali nationals parked in temporary protected status, all while a Minnesota-based Somali social services laundering machine allegedly stole up to $9 billion worth of federal and state programs. And they funneled huge chunks of that stolen money out in remittances, basically sending suitcases full of cash back to Somalia, and some of that American taxpayer money ended up in the hands of terrorists. Shirley goes to Minnesota to expose how they're laundering the money, and it's insane. With the help of this concerned citizen, they go door to door of child daycares, each daycare receiving a couple $1 million each. And at every single daycare they stopped at, the windows and doors were blacked out, there were no cars parked in the lots, and there was not a child in sight. Yet every year, these centers are receiving over $1 million a pop, and when the owners were confronted, the Somalis shut Nick and his helper down. This is money laundering. They counted 20 million in fraud just in the first couple hours. And then they went to the Somali-run healthcare centers. One center, for instance, had 14 different healthcare companies in one building. In another building, there were 22 different home care providers. So after being escorted out by police for harassing these Somali employees of these made-up companies, Nick noted that the fraud estimate was at $100 million. That's your hard-earned taxpayer dollars being absolutely wasted. The helper says that Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, burned through $24 billion federal dollars in 2 years. The state is now in a $6 billion deficit. That's almost entirely because of all the fraud. So just so we're clear, billions of taxpayer dollars are being funneled into Minnesota through federal and state welfare and social programs. Federal dollars just means money taken in by Washington through taxes and then spent back out through federal programs and grants. So it's not just Minnesotans' tax dollars being wasted. All of us pay into that federal pot. So your money, you in Florida or Texas, your money could be sent to a Minnesotan daycare that doesn't exist, and then that money ends up in the hands of Somali scammers so that they can afford luxury cars, homes, and accessories. And the Somali community is so tight-knit that they can keep all of this hush-hush. It's a secret operation that's been going on for 30 years, and people are so afraid of being called racist that they don't speak out. And the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, has overseen all of this, and he's guilty of two things: failing to report the misuse of public funds and the misconduct of a public employee. Twin Cities is ground zero for fraud. It is probably worse than anywhere else in the country. So, insane stuff. Great job, Nick. Everyone go follow his channel, share his stuff. Help expose this abysmal fraud. Let's get Tim Walz fired and put these criminals behind bars. No more!
I'm from Minneapolis, and Somalians are just part of the culture here. As far back as I can remember, I've always seen Somalians. And in these past 5 years, the population increased so much. It went from seeing them to them feeling like the majority a lot of places that I go. And also, over the past few years, I've noticed that I see a lot of them with new cars. So I'm a handyman, and I worked on a lot of Section 8 housing to make sure they're up to standard. And one thing I've noticed when I go see Section 8 houses, one, it's usually a Somali family. And what I mean usually, it's 9 times out of 10. And those houses usually have new cars in the front. I mean cars with an S, multiple new cars. And what I mean usually is like 8 out of 10 Somali houses, I've seen that. And I always wondered how someone on Section 8 can afford multiple new cars. I just couldn't put it together. So now finding out about this fraud stuff makes so much sense. And you know who I feel bad for other than me for paying for that shit with my taxes? Is Somalians who came here on the up and up and who didn't break the law. Because as a black man, I know how it feels to be judged because someone else with your same skin color did some stupid shit that you wouldn't approve of. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but one thing I do know is I've been saying for years we need to kick Tim Walz out because he knew about this shit from the beginning.
Only only Americans who's concerned with the Somali business is the ones who have no life.
Yeah, people who are concerned with living in a civilized, moral society and don't want to see people defrauded of their tax dollars just have no life.
Broke, they don't have no money, no ambition, nothing.
Yeah, the hardworking taxpayer who is defrauded of their tax dollars, those are the ones who lack ambition, not the people who are stealing government handouts through fraud.
They don't have hobbies. They depressed, they lonely.
I am depressed and lonely. You got me there.
Only people you will see who's worrying about this it's not even racist. They just broke. They just don't have anything going on. They're broken spiritually, physically, and financially.
Look, I don't think that we should treat all Somalians poorly because a few of them were involved in some type of fraud scheme. However, the fraud that we have caught alone is at $250 million, and the people involved in this scandal that have been actually prosecuted, 79 of them were Somalis. That's $250 million at least that should have gone to hungry kids. Specifically, hungry Somalian kids, considering that 81% of Somalian households in Minnesota are on welfare. So if your first reaction to that news is anything but holding your community accountable and saying, damn, my community is in some deep shit, we need to fix this, we need to do better. If that's not your reaction, then you're the broken one, not us. You don't get to claim group identity only when it's positive. You clean your house before you tell somebody else to clean theirs. I do it all the time with the gay community. That's the American way. Also, did you call us broke? The taxpayers who were stolen from? How are we the broke ones?
Come see Columbus, Ohio, fraud investigators. If you go to the government-assisted housing areas, you will find that most of the housing is Somalians. I would say about 80% of the government-assisted housing in Columbus is occupied by Somalians. And the parking lot is occupied with a whole bunch of brand new cars. And the women walking around have designer purses with EBT cards, and they have Apple iPhones stuck up in their hijabs. Yeah. And then go to the businesses that are owned by the men. Because see, what happens is when you have a restaurant or when you have a little corner store and you have a couple of wives and you only have to claim one, then that means the other wives get EBT cards, and you can use those EBT cards to buy food for your store or your restaurant. Yeah. Or what you can do is you can get a home health aid company. And then you only hire Somalians to work the home health aid. And what you do is you just make sure their paperwork looks right. It don't have to be right, but you just make sure it looks right. And then you send them off for those home health aid jobs. Y'all don't want to talk about fraud.
It says you have 102 children here, and you got $2.66 million this year in funding. And 2.5 million last year. We're just wondering where the kids are.
And who are you? My name's Nick Shirley.
Nick Shirley.
And
where are you? Which department?
oh, we are from ourselves.
Yeah.
Hello, we'd like to ask where the money's going.
Okay, so first and foremost, thank you so much, Nick, for doing this. We need to expose these liars. So thank you for going out there and doing it. Really, really, from the bottom of my heart, and so many other Americans, thank you. So empty buildings, but full bank accounts, huh? We are paying for all of that. These places are being funded by taxpayers' money. The corruption and the fraud in the state of Minnesota has reached unimaginable levels. Like, we're talking about billions of dollars. With that level of corruption, I think the question we ask ourselves is, who's going to jail? Who's going to pay for that? And the answer so far has been no one. Well, maybe they will want to arrest Nick Shirley for asking legitimate questions, because the police very gladly escorted him out of that place once he started asking these questions that every American has the right to ask. And all these schemes are tied to a specific group of immigrants protected by Democrats. Immigrants who don't want to assimilate, immigrants who hate us, immigrants who steal from us. And you want to call me a radical when I just say deport them all? This is a state-funded organized crime. And I want it gone. And I want every American politician who's behind this to pay the price. I want Tim Walz behind bars.
Keep talking about it. Do not let it go unnoticed. And once again, thank you, Nick, for doing that. If you can, go ahead and do more of it. More people need to talk about it. So please share this video and let's make sure we're doing our parts as American citizens.
About the Somali fraud in Minnesota, USA, I really think people need to start seeing the bigger picture here. Do you really believe that some Somali people living there in Minneapolis could get away with defrauding the state for, say, $9–10 billion a year? Of course not. Washington, D.C. is totally involved in this and not only allowed it to happen, but made it happen. So that's because Israel recently recognized Somaliland, part of Somalia, as an independent state. Why would Israel do so? Well, they need a place to deport the Palestinians to. But you don't just get a piece of land where you can deport 2 million people to. You have to pay for it. And that's what this is. The U.S. is the greatest ally of Israel. Remember, the United States citizens, middle-class people, taxpayers, are going to pay for that. This whole scam, the Somali care system scam, whatever, to me looks like an annual rental agreement where the U.S. taxpayer is now forced to pay $10 billion a year to the Somali elites, to Al-Shabaab, the terrorist organization, and so on, in exchange for a piece of land where Israel can then deport the Palestinians to. Your whole government is corrupt, okay? And this is just Somalia. Imagine what the USA is doing with India. Imagine how much money you're bleeding to India.
Only Americans who's concerned with the Somali business is the ones who have no life. They have a lot of time in their hand. They broke.
Check this out, y'all. Trump said 88% of them, but it's 89% of them on welfare, receiving some type of government assistance. And with all that scam money that y'all scam taxpayers out of, with luxurious trips, houses, and these luxury vehicles, not one of those vehicles was a work vehicle. No pickup trucks, no work boots, just welfare and scamming welfare. Y'all had nothing but time on your hands, taxpayers taking care of you. And have you noticed when ICE conduct these raids, you're the only group of immigrants that's walking the streets, that's in your cars, never at a work site, never at a construction site, never at a warehouse do you guys get apprehended. It's always walking around or hanging out on street corners. And then on top of that, y'all just terrorizing neighborhoods, a bunch of land pirates. E.T. phone home. It's time for E.T. to phone home.
E.T. phone home. And they'll come. Come home. Home.
The simple truth is that Somalis are not indigenous to America. Yes, not just that they are not indigenous to America, they are very new arrivals to America. Although there are some may claim that, oh, they've been there for years, for decades, but even though there have been people there for much longer who have contributed to building America to where America is right now. We can talk about the Black Americans whose ancestors were slaves. We can talk about immigrants, Irish immigrants. We can talk about even the indigenous Americans themselves that have contributed to building America to where it is now. That America is now opening its arms to people. America was very generous because they opened their arms to people of all tribes, of all nationalities, of all religions. And they were like, okay, come in and come and be part of this American dream with us. But certain people took advantage of their generosity. Yes, certain people took advantage of their generosity. They came to America and saw how it was, and they were like, oh, these people are so generous. So what are we going to do? We're going to take advantage of them. We're going to rip them off. We're going to take advantage of the system that was built to help people, to help the less privileged in Americans. And these people are not even American citizens. They are immigrants coming into America to take advantage of systems that were originally created to help Americans. These people were not actually grateful that Americans were being generous enough to extend their social services and their welfare to them, even though they were not indigenous Americans or American citizens. They were immigrants coming into America, and America opened their arms to them, welcomed them, offered them welfare, offered them so much. And what they could pay American with is, okay, I'm going to take advantage of you, and I'm going to gather all this money and all this welfare you are giving me. I'm going to rip you off, and I'm going to send it back to my home country. The same home country that have not really done anything from them. The same home country that they were running from, because the home country, there is hunger in the home country, there's starvation in the home country, there's war in the home country, there's political instability in the home country. This home country have all these problems. This home country could not offer them what America offered them. But instead of them being grateful to America, no, they still took from America that gave them way much, and then they took it and gave to their own country. It's kind of like robbing Peter to give to Paul. That's basically what they did to America. And over the years, especially during the Democratic administrations, they've kind of allowed these people run the rules and do their own thing. They looked the other way when these Somalians ran the entire system and then were taking advantage of the entire welfare system. But now, during the Republican government, particularly during this Trump administration, is paying a lot of attention into the finances of the government, into how money is being spent in the government, and they are starting to notice discrepancies. They are starting to notice things that just don't make sense. And thankfully, they are taking action about it, because let's be honest, this America that's so good right now, if we allow people come into America and just run the rules and do whatever they like, America is going to start crumbling. America is going to start falling. All this welfare that these people are enjoying right now, very soon you will see that people coming up, not even immigrants coming in, the American citizens that are giving birth to children, your grandchildren will just wake up one day, and then your children and your grandchildren cannot access this welfare anymore, because foreigners, immigrants have come in and they have stolen everything. I personally think that the American government should be very serious about this situation, particularly because these people are not just robbing the American people and the American welfare system for their own profit. They are sending this money back to Somalia, and this money is funding terrorist group. Yes, indirectly, Americans, instead of you funding welfare and betterment of people, Americans are indirectly funding terrorism. They're indirectly funding the killings, the massacre of people in Somalia and in other countries, probably without knowing it. Thanks for staying to the end of the video. Give it a thumbs up if you found it interesting, and also subscribe to the channel.